Okay. So most of the time, business users always need various report and statistics to get relevant business information, um, like trends, statistics, patterns. Right. Um, so we will be looking at the, different scenarios how we can actually leverage self-service BI. And in this session, like we'll be first looking at what self-service BI is, and we'll also talk about Power BI and different components of Power BI, and we'll also see how we can extend the Office 365 capabilities with our in-premise data using hybrid cloud solution. Now, let me give you, a brief outlook of how a typical BI traditional implementation works. So, business users, they always need various report and statistics to get information like trends, statistics, and the IT team typically creates reports to show specific information which help business take decisions. Now, for handling such new requests and ever-changing need for business, IT team creates some templates, and what happens over the time, the number of requests keep growing, and it's really tough for IT folks to keep up with that, and they invest most of their time just facilitating those reports, right? And a lot of time we see that users are having very specific requests which they want to do some analysis specific to their own area, right? So this is where we'll see how self-service BI will help users. Okay. So basically, first let's first try and understand what self-service BI is. So as we go with Gartner definition, when end users designing and deploying their own reports and analysis within an approved and supported architecture and tools portfolio. So that means it enables end users to create their own reports. However, it also says that in an approved and supported architecture, that means it will be IT managed, right? And we'll just take a deeper look at it in a few minutes. So essentially, the components of self-service BI, or we say different phases of self-service BI cycle, start from discovery, right? Where we actually figure out what our different data sources, then we grab the data, clean it up, and we create a model out of it to analyze. And once we have it ready, we visualize the insights, right? And when we have identified some really good insight which help us in taking business decisions, we can share it with our peers or team. Okay. So in Microsoft Power BI, the best part about it is on top of the existing Office tools. So basically, Microsoft Power BI is a set of different tools. Some are client tools like Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View, and some are cloud-based tools like Q&A and Power BI sites. Okay, and this familiarity of Excel allow business user to easily work with Excel-based client tools, which are part of Power BI. So let's take a quick look at each and every component of Power BI. So as we have seen the different phases, so very first phase where we discover and combine the data. In Power BI, we are having Power Query. So using Power Query, we can actually get data from different sources, right? And it allows us to get data from web or from any feed or even from in-premise data centers. Okay. And it also allows us to put some transformations to make that data usable. Because a lot of time the data we get from web or from unformatted sources, typically custom data types, those are not ready for data modeling or presentation. So Power Query allow us to perform some transformation, clean it, like replacing the names or removing unnecessary text and all this stuff. And another good part about Power Query is it will allow you to save your queries for future use. And you can in fact share your queries to other peers. The second component, once we have got our data cleaned up and we have identified all different components of data, we load it in the Power Pivot, which is another tool, client tool, Excel based. So the Power Pivot allow us to bring in data and create relationship between those different data components. It also allows to create KPI hierarchies, which actually enhance the analytical capabilities. And Power Pivot is an excellent tool. It's lightning fast. It has got in-memory analysis engine, which provides a very good speed, data browsing speed and analytical capabilities. Right. So once we have our data model ready, then we are good to visualize the data using another tool, which is Power View. Power View actually it brings your data to life, and you can see different analysis. You can simply drag and drop different fields, and you see visualization changing. You can pick different visualization. So out of box, it provides like line chart or maps. If you have geographic data, you can put it on map, and it will show you on different areas how things are. For example, if you're looking at sales data, you can actually see how your regions are doing or how individual city is doing. Now, we also have a new tool called Power Map. It allows you to see same geographical data in a 3D manner, right? And it will also allow you to create a tour over the timeline. So you can actually create a movie kind of experience for your users and share it with them over the play access. Now that we have seen the different capabilities of client tools like Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map, and once we have our visualizations ready, now it's time to share with the police. And that's when Office 365 comes in picture. So in Power BI Office 365, we are having Power BI sites which allow you to share your workbooks. Whatever workbooks you have created, you can load it to Power BI sites. Power BI sites are actually Azure hosted apps providing a very enhanced view of document library. It's just another richer view of those workbooks. So basically, what it does is it allows the report and the insights to surface up. In a typical fashion, if we have to see a particular insight, we have to navigate to a document library and then just click on a particular Excel workbook and see the insight. But in Power View BI site, that surface is right on the top. So it actually increases the user experience when it comes to viewing insights. So the whole idea is to surface the data and reports from the asset right up to the paging viewing experience. And it's a very thin skin of SharePoint document library for a data first experience. It has numerous end user capabilities and administrative capabilities. Another very powerful tool of Office 365 Power BI component is Q&A. Most of the time, user knows the question, what it is, but the answer keeps changing. For example, my sales figure by region over the year. So question is constant, but the answer keeps changing. So for such reports, we can actually predefine a layout and create a report in Power View. But there are several questions user himself doesn't know, and it's just in an instant in time they want to know something very specific, like how this particular retail unit has done in this particular quarter. Now, to answer such questions, Power BI offers Q&A facility, which actually allow user to type in question in natural language query, right? And as you type in, it will simply, the answer will bubble up in a form of a very good visualization. So it's a natural language query which finds the answer in your own data, right? It allows user to ask questions which cannot be answered, using Power View, and you can start with a question, and then you can simply travel through the data, refining and expanding your question, right? Like zero in on a particular detail or zoom out to have a broader view. So, which is a very, very interesting thing I find about Power BI Q&A. And it automatically picks, your answers in form of visualization. For example, if you are having a geographical data, it will automatically pick a map because it feels that this is the best visualization, where you can analyze the data. However, you can always change it. I mean, you can specify that you want to see this information in a line chart or say in a columnar chart, and it will show that information in that format. Okay, so Q&A basically is having two components. Like one is the modeling. So the modeling of data is the most critical part, and I should say it's the backbone for the Q&A, because your model has to understand that natural language. Right? For example, if I'm creating a model for a retail business in US, right, and other different countries, so if someone wants to search data for US, they may say, give me sales figure for US, or they may say, give me sales figure for United States, or United States of America, or USA. So my model should be capable of understanding all these, US, USA, United States, all these natural language terminology. And that is where we make our model intelligent in Power Pivot for better Q&A experience. Right. Because the richness of the semantics in data model is the key. Now, once that is ready, it's all about consuming it, right? So, like SharePoint Online user who can simply ask, discover the workbook, visualization, and explore and interact with the data. Now, as we have, just looked at in Power Query, we have developed these beautiful visualizations, and a lot of time people want to see those visualizations on the go, and that capability is bought by mobile BI app and HTML5. So Microsoft has released a mobile BI app where you can simply sign in to your Office Online account, and all your reports you can see right there. And in Power BI side, you can actually mark a report as a featured report, right? Or you can mark even your Q&A as a featured Q&A, so that another person, when they comes in, they will have, it will show up right on the top, right? So if you're browsing it either on the web or in the mobile device, that will show up right there. So this is very helpful application on Windows 8 platform, and even a non-Windows platform in any device which supports HTML5, these reports can be rendered there very easily. Now, so this is overall the end user experience, how it goes. So we discover, clean and match up the data using client tools, Power Query, Power Pivot, and data models, and then we create visualization and analyze and visualize the data using Power BI and Power Map, and then we eventually share it using Power BI for Office 365. So if we look at, now we have seen there are different components, but who will be the users who will actually be working with those components? So if you look at this pyramid, on the very like top half of the pyramid, we'll be focusing on information worker who will actually be creating, we have seen those 6 phases, who will actually be working on those 6 phases. So it's information worker's task who is actually going to discover and find the data, create a model out of it, create visualization and share. Okay? Along with, there are some back-end things which goes on. If you look at the lower half of the pyramid, right? So Power BI for Office 365 also provides us some admin capabilities, right? So it gives us Power BI Admin Center and data management gateways, and we'll quickly talk about it in a couple of minutes. And then management data portal, like a role. So management data portal actually allow you to manage all the assets which you have loaded to your Power BI site, like the queries which you have shared with your peers, or the visualization which you have shared with other folks. So those can be easily managed using managed data portal, and that's where a data steward kind of person comes in and who actually says, yeah, this data is good. So no matter what data we get, we need to have someone who actually approves the data. So data steward is a kind of role which actually does that, who knows the data in and out and can say, yeah, this query is returning the right result and it's good to be shared with others, and others can consume it and create their own visualization. So as I was saying, like Power BI for Office 365 also provide us infrastructure services which allow you to manage the instance, the tenant, like provisioning Power BI. So one has to, like IT admin has to go and actually provision the Power BI for other users, for the organization, right? And then we have a Power BI Admin Center, which will actually allow us, allow the IT admin to actually manage the entire tenant, like managing the health of the system. He can actually create users, give them permissions, and he can configure different settings. So all those admin tasks can be done using Power BI Admin UI. And the data management experience we just talked about. Okay. Now, let's have a quick look how we can actually extend our capabilities, analytical capabilities on in-premise data, right? So we may want to have data in our data center, which we want to actually merge with some online data, online feed, maybe the consumer buying trends. We want to merge with our own retail store data. So in such cases, Power BI allow us to actually get data from our in-premise data center using data management gateways. So it's like two-way process that we have to actually configure a gateway and install a small package in our data center, and that creates a secure channel so that data can be bought up from there. And this also allow organization to share different data components so that other people can consume it. Right. It also facilitates the enterprise data search, so you can actually enable your in-premise data as feeds, OData feeds, and whoever the person who is creating or like discovering data using Power Query, if that person types in a particular information, he will get to see, okay, this data I'm getting from my own in-premise data feeds, and this data I'm getting from online. So they can choose and either from enterprise data or from the cloud data. And it also allows us to see the usage, because several users can create their own queries, right? So some queries might be very useful and people are often using it. So it allows you a window to actually analyze how the usage is going. So usage basically here means the number of time the query shows up when users search, and how many times user is actually clicking on that query. So that information actually allows the admin to optimize and facilitate those queries. So in summary, we have seen different components like client components, which offers insight in Excel, like discover, analyze, and visualize using Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map, and collaborate those using Power BI sites, Q&A, and extend it to mobile for on-the-go experience. Now, let's take a quick look at the case study. So this case study is on a very famous game, cricket. It's a series which is played every year in India. And in this, what we have done is we have gathered the data online for all the seasons. And we have imported the data from web sources. And then we have cleaned the data. So in this query, you can see that we can perform different steps. On the very right-hand side, you see we have steps. So we can actually perform different steps to clean the data. And once the data is cleaned, we can actually consolidate data from different queries. Right? I may be getting a part of data from one query and part of data from another query. So we can consolidate it together and then prepare the final data set. And once we have the data set loaded, we can load that into data model to analyze and eventually create some good visualization to perform analytics. For example, in this particular sheet, I can actually see all the information about a particular player, like how he has played against different teams in a specific season or all the seasons. How is his performance against a very specific team or in a specific playground, in a stadium. So that can help user assess his performance. And once we have developed that workbook, we can load it to Power BI site, and that's how. If you look at here, I have actually marked this report as a feature report. So anytime another user logs in, he will get this report right on top on the screen. And similarly, there are a few featured questions. So you can mark any question Q&A as a featured question, and that will simply show up right on top of the screen. And this is a small screenshot which shows how the Q&A actually works. So I have a data model, and I just want to know about Shane Watson, how much runs he has scored against different opponent teams in year 2013. So if you look at the screen, I'm writing in simple English text. And at the bottom, a very good visualization is showing up. And it's giving me accurate information about the runs he has scored against different teams. And on the right side, if you look at, there are featured questions which are showing up. So a user can directly click on a featured question if he finds that question relevant. So this is all about this particular case study. Over to you. No?
Thanks, Sid. It was definitely a very useful session, and I hope folks have enjoyed, and I see a whole lot of questions coming here. Let's take the questions one by one. Okay, so before I just announce the first question, I request audience to just drop in your questions. Now we will try to take as many as questions at the end of immediately now. And in case if you are not able to have questions now, you can send in your questions at marketing@winwire.com, and our experts will come back to you with the answer. So the first question is, how could we utilize Power BI in premise SharePoint installation?
Okay, that's a very good question. So as we have seen, like Power BI is having two components. So it's a set of tools. So we are having client tools like Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. These tools are actually part of Excel 2013. So if you are having Excel, you can create a good visualization data model, and you can directly load it into a Power View gallery or a Power Pivot gallery. Because SharePoint in-premise installation is having this Power Pivot gallery component, which allow you to see the Excel-based reports. So I think because right now, all this Q&A feature and Power BI Sites feature are part of Office 365, and I'm not sure. I mean, if, most probably in future releases, it might be part of in-premise. But right now, the strategy is cloud first.
Thanks, Sid. Let me take the second questions, and I definitely feel this is a great question. So one of the participants says, hey, we don't have Office 365. Could we still use the Power BI?
Actually, yeah, that's right. It's actually I kind of answered this question in the first one. So that's right. I mean, if you have Excel client, Excel 2013, you can still build data model and visualization and can deploy it to your SharePoint enterprise installation and use it. Yeah.
Thanks, Sid. So the other question is, I remember you mentioning in the triangle chart the data steward. Is this data steward an IT person or somebody else in the organization?
Well, data steward could be anyone. Basically, data steward is the person who actually knows the data in and out. And that is the person who will actually approve the data. So in BI, we always have a person who says, yes, this data is right. Like we can consolidate data from different sources, but it has to be approved by someone before it goes up and is consumed by the users. So that's the role of data steward. It could be even a BI user, business user. It could be IT person. It could be analyst.
Thanks, Sid. And the last question we have here for the day is, does my data get stored in the cloud or somewhere else?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends because we are having two different types of components. Like if we are sharing queries, in that case, metadata of the model gets stored because that is what is being used when you actually search something. So in that case, no, only when the query is consumed, data gets pulled in. But if you are creating some workbook and loading it to Power BI site, yes, because that subset of data, which is part of the data model, gets loaded to the cloud.
Thanks, Sid. Thanks for the answers. And I think we are close to end the session. In addition to this, in case if you guys have any questions, please drop us email again at marketing@winwire.com and we'll come back to you with the answers. Thank you for joining this session. Have a wonderful day. Thank you again.